There are some places that no longer exist on any map, yet return to us every December as clearly as if we had never left them. Houses that have been sold, repainted, or torn down, streets renamed, neighborhoods changed. And yet, when winter deepens and Christmas draws near, we find ourselves stepping across the same familiar threshold, carrying the same coat dusted with snow, breathing in the same quiet warmth that once told us we were home. This is one of those places. It is Christmas at Grandma's house in the winter of 1962. Outside, the world is cold and hushed beneath fresh snow. The driveway is half buried, the hedges softened into white shapes, the street lamp at the corner glowing faintly through the early darkness. Inside, however, the house has been awake for hours, not with noise or bustle, but with a gentle readiness, as if Christmas itself has settled in and made itself comfortable. The front door opens into warmth, not the sudden blast of heat we expect today, but a steady, lived-in warmth that smells faintly of pine needles, furniture polish, and something sweet baking slowly in the kitchen. Heavy coats are hung on pegs that have held generations of winters. Boots are lined neatly by the door, already drying for the day ahead. Somewhere deeper in the house, a clock ticks. Not loudly, just enough to be noticed if you listen for it. In the living room, the Christmas tree glows softly, its lights never turned off overnight. Thick glass ornaments reflect the room in miniature, capturing fragments of lamplight and shadow. Tinsel hangs carefully, reused year after year, smoothed and rehung with patience. Beneath the tree, presents wait without urgency. Their paper is modest, their bows are simple. Nothing here is meant to dazzle, only to belong. It is still early. Most of the house is asleep. Grandma, however, has been awake for some time. In 1962, Christmas does not begin with gifts or greetings. It begins in the kitchen before dawn, with quiet rituals repeated so often they no longer feel like work. The percolator murmurs softly on the stove. Dough rises beneath a clean cloth. A radio plays low, just above silence, carrying a familiar carol through the narrow rooms. This house has known many Christmases before this one. Grandma remembers them all, not as dates or milestones, but as textures and sounds. She remembers Christmases without electric lights, without store-bought decorations, without much of anything at all. She remembers winters when the kitchen was colder, when oranges were precious, when the tree was smaller but no less loved. And so Christmas in 1962 is not something new for her. It is something carefully maintained. The children sleeping down the hall do not know this yet. They will wake soon, tangled in blankets on spare beds and sofas, blinking into a day that feels both exciting and strangely calm. They will carry these moments with them for the rest of their lives, though they cannot yet imagine how far away this house will someday feel. For now, everything is as it should be. The living room waits. The tablecloth is folded carefully in a drawer, ready to be spread later in the day. The good dishes are stacked nearby, untouched since last Christmas. Outside, the snow continues to fall, indifferent to time, while inside, time itself seems to slow, pausing politely for the holiday. This is Christmas at Grandma's. Not a spectacle, not a performance, but a place where Christmas lives quietly, year after year, waiting to be remembered. By the time Christmas morning truly begins, Grandma's house has already been awake for hours, quietly holding the cold at bay. In the winter of 1962, Houses do not hum with central air or glow with digital displays. They creak and click and settle, responding to the weather like living things. The radiator ticks softly along the base of the wall, metal expanding as warmth spreads room by room. The windows are edged with frost, delicate patterns tracing the night's cold against the glass. Heavy curtains hang close, trapping heat and lamplight inside, turning the house inward on itself. This is not a place meant to impress. It is a place meant to endure. The hallway smells faintly of wool coats and old wood. Somewhere near the back door, mittens hang drying, stiff from yesterday's snow. The floorboards bear the scuffs of decades, boots dragged in winter, slippers shuffled in summer, marks left by people who came and went, but always returned for Christmas. In the living room, the Christmas tree stands slightly crooked, as it has every year. Its branches are full but imperfect, chosen not for symmetry, but for sturdiness. Grandma never minded a tree that leaned a little. To her, it meant it had character. The ornaments tell the story of the house more clearly than any photograph ever could. There are glass balls dulled by time, their silvering worn thin where small fingers once held them too tightly. There are a few paper decorations folded and refolded, edges softened by years of careful handling. A handful of ornaments are newer, gifts from children grown and gone, but they hang politely among the old ones, never replacing them. The lights are thick and warm, glowing softly rather than shining. Bubble lights sit upright, tiny columns of colour where liquid slowly rises and falls with the heat, mesmerizing anyone who stops long enough to watch. Grandma insists they stay on all night. Christmas, she believes, should never wake to darkness. A faint scent of pine lingers in the air, mingling with furniture polish and something sweeter drifting from the kitchen. It is the smell of winter settled indoors, not sharp, not artificial, but deep and familiar. The kind of scent that stays on sweaters long after the visit is over. In the corner of the room sits the television console, its screen dark, a lace doily carefully arranged across the top. It will remain that way for most of the day. In this house, Christmas does not require moving pictures. It requires presence. The radio, however, is already awake, its soft murmur threading through the rooms like a memory humming to itself. Every object in Grandma's house seems to have a place and a reason. Nothing is moved without intention. Nothing is thrown away without hesitation. The good lamp is switched on, casting a pool of yellow light over the armchair that belongs, unquestioningly, to Grandpa. The side table beside it holds a stack of well-worn magazines and a small dish for hard candies, already unwrapped for guests who have not yet arrived. Down the hallway, doors remain closed. Behind them, the house sleeps. Children breathe evenly beneath quilts stitched long ago. Adults rest in borrowed beds, lulled by the quiet confidence of the walls around them. This house has seen enough Christmas mornings to know how to wait. Outside, the world remains hushed. Snow gathers along the fence, softening every edge. The street beyond is nearly empty, the few passing cars moving slowly, respectfully, as if aware of the day. In 1962, Christmas still has the power to slow things down. Grandma moves through the house without turning on overhead lights. She knows every step, every threshold. Her slippers whisper against the floor as she passes from room to room, checking windows, straightening a corner of the rug, pausing briefly at the tree. She does not rush. Christmas will come whether she hurries or not. This house has been preparing for this day for weeks, but it feels as though it has been waiting much longer than that. Waiting not just for presents to be opened or meals to be served, but for people to gather again beneath its roof. For voices to fill the rooms. For laughter to settle into the walls, adding another layer to the memories already there. In the quiet hours before sunrise, Grandma's house holds all of this gently. The past and present sit side by side, unbothered by the future. Christmas has arrived, and the house, as it always has, is ready to receive it. The kitchen is the only room fully awake in the house, glowing softly against the dark winter morning. In 1962, kitchens are not yet places of convenience. They are places of work, of memory, of quiet authority. And on Christmas morning, this kitchen belongs entirely to Grandma. The percolator sits on the stovetop, its glass knob beginning to cloud as coffee cycles slowly upward. Each gentle burble is familiar, comforting. Grandma does not measure the grounds. She never has. She pours them from the tin by instinct alone, the way she has for decades, trusting her hands more than any instruction. The light above the sink casts a warm circle onto the counter, revealing flour dusted faintly across the surface. Dough rests beneath a clean towel nearby, rising patiently as if it, too, understands the importance of the day. A loaf of bread will be ready soon, its crust already beginning to form in the oven, filling the house with a scent that promises warmth long before breakfast is served. The radio plays low on the windowsill, its dial glowing softly. Christmas music drifts in and out between murmured announcements, never demanding attention. Grandma hums along without realizing it, her voice barely audible over the steady rhythm of the morning. She has heard these songs all her life. They belong to her now. Outside the kitchen window, the sky remains dark, tinged faintly with blue. Snow has gathered on the sill, catching what little light there is. Grandma pauses for a moment, looking out, remembering other mornings like this one, other kitchens, other winters, Christmases spent waking early not for pleasure, but out of necessity. She remembers a time when Christmas meant stretching what little there was, when oranges were shared carefully, when a single pie was enough. Those memories shape everything she does now, even in 1962, when the pantry is fuller and the table will be heavy with food. Waste feels wrong. Excess feels unnecessary. She moves through the kitchen with practiced ease, opening drawers without looking, reaching for utensils worn smooth by years of use. The calendar on the wall still reads December, its pages curling slightly at the corners. Grandma has not bothered to change it. The year does not matter much here. A mixing bowl sits waiting, thick ceramic with a small chip along the rim. It has been dropped before, survived, and returned to service. Like most things in this house, it is valued not for its perfection, but for its persistence. Grandma cracks eggs carefully, one at a time, inspecting each shell before setting it aside. She wipes the counter with a cloth she rinses and folds with the same care she gives to everything else. There is no rush. No one will wake for some time yet. This early hour belongs to her alone. From time to time, she listens for footsteps in the hallway, but none come. The house breathes quietly around her. The radiator clicks again, answering the cold pressing against the walls. The oven hums. The percolator continues its slow conversation with the morning. She pours herself a cup of coffee. and sits for a moment at the small kitchen table, hands wrapped around the mug. Steam rises into the air, blurring the edges of the room. For a brief while, Christmas is entirely hers, not as a celebration, but as a continuation of all of the ones that came before. She thinks of her own grandmother, of Christmas mornings long past, of kitchens lit by oil lamps and stoves fed by hand. She thinks of how those women moved through their days, leaving behind habits and recipes that were never written down but never forgotten. In this moment, Grandma is not simply preparing breakfast. She is carrying something forward. Soon enough, the house will wake. Doors will open, voices will rise, the quiet will give way to laughter and the soft chaos of family gathering. But for now, Christmas remains suspended in this warm kitchen, held gently in the space between night and morning. Grandma stands again, returns to her work, and lets the day come to her at its own pace. Christmas has begun long before anyone else knows it. The first sounds of Christmas morning do not come all at once. They arrive gradually, like light creeping across a snowy yard. A floorboard shifts in the hallway. A door opens softly, then closes again. Somewhere beneath a stack of quilts, a child stirs, already half awake with anticipation. In Grandma's house, Christmas morning in 1962 is never announced. It reveals itself slowly. One by one, doors open along the hallway. Children emerge in wrinkled pajamas, hair still flattened from sleep, clutching blankets or rubbing their eyes. They pause instinctively, listening. The house feels different this morning. It always does. Quieter somehow, but fuller, as if something important has already arrived and settled in. They follow the glow toward the living room. The tree is the first thing they see. It shines more brightly now against the pale morning light filtering through the curtains. The ornaments catch reflections of movement and color, turning each small step into a flicker of glass and memory. For a moment, the children simply stand there, absorbing it all, careful not to touch anything yet. In this house, there is a way Christmas morning unfolds, and everyone knows it. Adults appear more slowly, wrapped in robes, voices still low. Coffee cups appear in hands almost as if by magic. Grandma moves quietly between the kitchen and the living room, her presence steady and reassuring. She does not direct the morning. She allows it to happen. Presents are not torn open. Paper is loosened carefully. Tape peeled away and folded back. Boughs are saved. Boxes are opened with a kind of reverence, as if the contents inside deserve patience. The gifts themselves are modest. A sweater, a book, a small toy chosen thoughtfully. Each one feels important because it was chosen with care, not because it was expensive. A toy train is placed gently on the floor, its metal wheels cool to the touch. A doll is lifted from its box and examined closely, its dress smoothed immediately. A book is opened and closed again, pages sniffed faintly as though its newness must be verified. Grandma watches from her chair, hands folded in her lap, smiling quietly. She does not need thanks. She does not need praise. The simple fact that the room is full again is enough. Somewhere behind the tree, a radio plays softly, barely audible beneath the murmured conversations and occasional laughter. The television remains dark, untouched. No one suggests turning it on. Christmas morning does not require distraction. The smell from the kitchen grows richer as the morning passes. Coffee, warm bread, something sweet waiting its turn in the oven. Children drift back and forth between the living room and the kitchen, drawn by scent as much as curiosity, peeking at bowls and pans they are gently shooed away from. Outside, the snow reflects the morning light, brightening the room without glare. The world beyond the windows feels distant, unimportant. In 1962, Christmas morning still has the power to create a small island of time, separate from everything else. Eventually, someone suggests breakfast, not because they are hungry, but because it is the next step in the ritual. Chairs are pulled back, plates are set out. The table is still simple, no linen yet, no formal place settings, but the meal feels just as important. The children eat quickly, eager to return to the living room. The adults linger, coffee cups refilled, conversations drifting easily between past and present. Stories begin to surface, retold once again as if they were new. And all the while, Grandma moves quietly, refilling, straightening, watching. Christmas morning is not hers to claim, but it is hers to protect. She ensures it unfolds the way it always has, without hurry, without noise, without anything that might disturb its fragile calm. By the time breakfast is finished, the morning has fully arrived. The house is awake now, filled with voices and movement and warmth. Christmas morning, once so distant, has settled comfortably into the rooms, and still the day has only just begun. If the kitchen is the engine of Christmas at Grandma's, then the living room is its anchor. This is where the day settles in and stays. In 1962, living rooms are not meant for constant use. They are kept carefully, entered respectfully, preserved for moments that matter. And on Christmas Day, this room matters more than any other. The furniture sits exactly where it has always been. The sofa, covered in a slipcover that crackles faintly when someone shifts their weight, faces the tree at just the right angle. 2 armchairs flank it, one of them permanently claimed by Grandpa, even when he is not yet sitting in it. No one questions this arrangement. Some things are decided long before anyone arrives. The carpet bears the faint outline of where the tree stand rests each year, a subtle mark that will never quite disappear. Grandma has tried once or twice to rearrange the room, but it never feels right. The room seems to resist change, quietly insisting on familiarity. A small table near the window holds a ceramic dish filled with hard candies, their wrappers twisted neatly at both ends. Children know they may take one, but never more than that. These unspoken rules are part of the room itself, absorbed over years of Christmas visits. The walls are lined with framed photographs, most of them black and white. Faces stare out from another time, serious and proud, dressed in clothes no one wears anymore. Children recognize some of them by name, others only by proximity. Grandma can identify them all. She remembers their Christmases too. The television console sits along the far wall, polished and silent. Its screen reflects the tree lights faintly, but no one reaches for the knob. The lace doily on top remains perfectly in place, as it always does. In this house, Christmas is not something to be watched. It is something to be lived. The radio, however, hums softly from the corner, its presence constant but unobtrusive. It provides a gentle backdrop, never overpowering the conversations that rise and fall throughout the day. The volume is adjusted with care. Nothing should interrupt the room's natural rhythm. Children spread their new toys across the floor, arranging them thoughtfully rather than chaotically. There is no pile of plastic, no blinking lights demanding attention. Toys are mechanical, solid, built to last. They invite imagination rather than noise. The floor becomes a quiet landscape of play, watched over by adults from their seats. Grandma takes her place at the edge of it all, knitting needles clicking softly in her hands. She watches the room the way a gardener watches familiar ground, noticing small changes, adjusting when needed, allowing everything to grow naturally. From time to time, someone rises to add a log to the fire or adjust the thermostat. The room responds slowly, retaining heat, holding comfort. Outside, the winter continues, but inside, the living room remains untouched by it. Conversations drift easily, unforced. Stories repeat themselves without apology. Everyone has heard them before, but that is part of their value. Each retelling smooths their edges, makes them easier to carry forward. In this living room, time does not move in a straight line. The past leans gently into the present. Children absorb traditions without realizing it. Adults relax into roles they have played before. Grandma remains the quiet center, ensuring the room stays balanced. As the morning deepens into midday, the living room gathers layers of memory. Wrapping paper is folded and stacked neatly. Boxes are set aside, not discarded. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is wasted. This room, more than any other, defines Christmas at Grandma's. It teaches patience. It teaches presence. It teaches the subtle art of being together without needing anything else. By the time the kitchen calls again, the living room has done its work. It has held Christmas gently, exactly as it was meant to be held. Christmas dinner at Grandma's does not begin when the food is ready. It begins hours earlier, with planning and preparation that stretches back through the week. In 1962, meals of this importance are never rushed. They are built gradually, layer by layer, until they become something more than food. The kitchen grows warmer as the day moves on. Pots simmer quietly on the stove. The oven hums with steady purpose. Aromas deepen and change, drifting into the hallway and living room, weaving themselves into every corner of the house. Even those who are not hungry begin to feel the pull of the table. Grandma moves with quiet authority, directing without raising her voice. She does not consult recipes. Everything she needs lives in memory. Measurements are estimated by sight and touch, adjusted as needed, trusted completely. The dishes themselves are familiar. Roast meats, vegetables cooked simply, breads and desserts prepared days in advance, but each one carries the weight of tradition. The dining table waits in the adjoining room, still bare, but ready. At the proper moment, Grandma retrieves the tablecloth kept carefully folded away all year. It is white, edged with delicate stitching, pressed just enough to look cared for without appearing stiff. She spreads it slowly, smoothing out each crease with practiced hands. The good dishes are brought out next, lifted carefully from their cabinet. Plates are matched. Silverware is placed deliberately. Nothing is mismatched. Nothing is hurried. This table is not meant for everyday use. It exists for days like this. As the hour approaches, voices gather in the kitchen. Children hover nearby, sent away gently, then allowed back in again. Adults offer help and are given small tasks that make them feel useful without disrupting the flow. The room feels full but not crowded, alive with purpose. When the meal is finally ready, everyone knows without being told. Chairs are pulled back, coats and sweaters are adjusted. The room grows quieter as people take their places. Grandpa sits at the head of the table. Grandma takes her seat nearby, close enough to rise when needed. For a moment, the room pauses. Someone offers a simple grace, spoken softly, without performance. Heads bow. The words are familiar, repeated each year, but no less meaningful for it. When the prayer ends, conversation resumes gently, as if careful not to break something fragile. The food is passed from hand to hand. Portions are generous but sensible. Plates fill slowly. No one rushes. This meal is meant to last. Conversation drifts easily across the table. Stories emerge and fade. Laughter rises, then settles again. Children listen more than they speak, absorbing voices and rhythms they will one day miss without knowing why. Grandma eats little, content to watch the table she has built come to life. She notices empty glasses before anyone asks. She rises to fetch something forgotten, returns without comment. This is her work, and she does it with quiet pride. Outside, afternoon light fades early, winter pressing gently against the windows. Inside, the table remains warm, held together by shared presence rather than ceremony. In 1962, Christmas dinner still belongs to the family, not the clock. When plates are cleared at last, the meal ends not with finality, but with satisfaction. Nothing feels unfinished. The dishes will wait. The table has served its purpose. Christmas, having gathered everyone together, begins to loosen its grip, allowing the day to breathe again. After Christmas dinner, the house does not rush forward. It settles. In 1962, there is no expectation that the day must be filled from one moment to the next. The meal has ended, and with it, the need for movement. The rooms seem to relax, as though the walls themselves are grateful for the pause. Plates are stacked neatly in the kitchen, rinsed and set aside. The table remains covered, its work complete for now. Someone suggests washing the dishes immediately, but Grandma waves the idea away with a small shake of her head. There will be time later. Christmas afternoon is not meant for chores. In the living room, chairs are reclaimed, shoes are loosened. Children stretch out on the floor with their toys, their earlier excitement softened into quiet concentration. A train circles its track again and again, the steady motion almost hypnotic. A doll is tucked carefully beneath an arm, its presence comforting rather than new. The radio continues its low murmur, filling the room without demanding attention. Occasionally, a familiar song drifts through, recognized and then allowed to pass. The television remains untouched, its screen reflecting nothing but tree lights and shadows. Outside, the sky begins to dim, winter light fading earlier than expected. Snow reflects what little brightness remains, turning the world pale and indistinct. Inside, lamps are switched on one by one, restoring warmth and definition to the rooms. Grandpa settles deeper into his chair, the paper folded neatly on his lap. His eyes close briefly, not quite asleep, but no longer fully awake either. This is a familiar posture, repeated every Christmas afternoon, as much a part of the tradition as the meal itself. Grandma takes up her knitting once more, needles clicking softly in her hands. The pattern is one she knows by heart. She does not need to count stitches. Her fingers move confidently, creating something useful, something meant to last. Conversations soften, growing slower and more reflective. Adults speak in lower voices. Children listen, absorbing tones and expressions more than words. The house hums with contentment, not excitement. In a spare room down the hall, a bed is prepared for anyone who needs it. Blankets are smoothed, pillows fluffed. Christmas afternoon invites rest, and the house obliges. Time passes almost unnoticed. There is no schedule to keep, no urgency pulling anyone forward. The outside world feels distant, irrelevant. In this moment, Christmas exists only within these walls. As darkness settles fully outside, the tree lights grow brighter by contrast, casting gentle patterns across the room. Ornaments glow softly. The house feels smaller now, cozier, gathered inward against the cold. This is the heart of Christmas at Grandma's. Not the gift or the meal, but this quiet interval where nothing is expected and everything feels complete. It is a feeling that lingers long after the day has passed. Difficult to describe, impossible to recreate. The house holds it carefully, knowing it will not last forever. In the stillness of Christmas afternoon, it becomes clear that Grandma is not simply hosting the holiday. She is holding it together. In 1962, this role is never announced or acknowledged. It exists quietly, passed down through observation rather than instruction. Grandma does not speak often about tradition, but she lives it in every small decision she makes throughout the day. She remembers Christmases that came long before this one. Winters when her own grandmother woke before dawn to tend fires and knead dough in kitchens colder than this one. Years when Christmas meant making do, when celebration was measured not by abundance, but by care. Those memories shape her understanding of what the holiday should be. To Grandma, Christmas is not something that happens once a year. It is something that is maintained, preserved through repetition, protected from haste and excess. Every ritual in this house reflects that belief. The ornaments saved and reused, the tablecloth brought out only for Christmas, the refusal to rush meals or moments. These are not habits born of nostalgia alone, but of survival and continuity. Grandma watches the family gathered in her living room, each person fitting into a role shaped by years of returning here. Children who once needed help opening gifts now sit quietly, half aware that something important is being passed to them. Adults relax into familiar rhythms, grateful for a place where they do not have to perform or impress. She does not direct their attention to the past, but it lingers anyway. In the photographs on the wall, in the stories retold, in the steady presence of the house itself. Grandma knows, even if no one says it aloud, that time is moving, that children grow up and houses change hands, that one day Christmas will be celebrated somewhere else, shaped by different walls and different routines. She does not resist this. She prepares for it. By making Christmas here unforgettable, she ensures it will be carried forward. In quiet ways, Grandma teaches what matters. That celebration does not require excess. That togetherness is built slowly. That warmth comes as much from patience as from fire or light. She does not seek recognition for this work. She simply does it, year after year, knowing that its value lies in how effortlessly it disappears into memory. As evening approaches, Grandma rises once more, moving through the house with practiced care. She straightens a cushion, adjusts a lamp, checks on the kitchen one last time. These small gestures are her way of saying goodbye to the day, even as it continues around her. Christmas at Grandma's in 1962 exists because of her. Not because she planned it, but because she lived it. And long after the house grows quiet again, her Christmas will remain. Evening arrives slowly at Grandma's house, as if reluctant to disturb the calm that has settled in. Outside, the snow has stopped falling, leaving the world hushed and still beneath a pale winter sky. Inside, the lamps glow steadily, their light soft and forgiving. Coats are brought out once more. Scarves are wrapped carefully. Conversations drift toward plans for the journey home, though no one seems eager to begin it. Christmas at Grandma's always ends this way, not with an announcement, but with a gradual easing apart. The tree remains lit, its ornaments reflecting the room one last time. The living room looks much as it did that morning, though now it holds the quiet weight of a day fully lived. The toys have been gathered, wrapping paper folded and tucked away, chairs pushed back into their familiar places. Grandma stands near the door, offering final reminders and small bundles of leftovers wrapped neatly in wax paper. She hugs each person with the same steady warmth, never lingering too long, never rushing anyone away. Her goodbyes are gentle, confident that Christmas does not end simply because the day does. As the door opens and closes, the cold presses in briefly, then retreats again. The house exhales. Footsteps fade down the walk. Engines start softly. One by one, families depart, carrying with them more than they realize. When the last coat is hung and the house grows quiet once more, Grandma returns to the living room. She sits for a moment, hands folded, listening to the familiar sounds of her home settling for the night. The clock ticks, the radiator clicks, the tree lights glow patiently. She does not dwell on what has passed. Christmas has been done properly. That is enough. Years from now, the house may look different. The furniture may be replaced. The photographs may be packed away. The tree may no longer stand in quite the same spot. But the feeling of Christmas at Grandma's will remain, carried forward in memory, resurfacing unexpectedly with the scent of pine or the sound of a ticking clock on a winter night. Because some places never truly disappear. They wait for us quietly, year after year, asking only to be remembered. And every Christmas, without fail, we remember.